There have really only been a few times when I've met one of my goals in the past and I've felt completely satisfied from meeting that goal. Or maybe to put it differently, before I met the goal, I had these grand visions of what meeting the goal would look like, what the rewards would look like, how my life would change for the better after. And even though I met some of these goals, met most of these goals maybe, I found myself disappointed that the attainment of what I had set out to do didn't bring me the same satisfaction and fulfillment as imagining and dreaming of achieving those things that I'd set out for myself. Also, upon further reflection, I realized that it was the process of getting to that goal and not actually getting to the goal itself that brought me a lot more enjoyment and fulfillment. So then I started thinking of other goals that I had set for myself in the past and remembered that the most fun I had along that whole process was the process itself, and it wasn't the end result. So then I started thinking, okay, well, that's kind of backwards from what I was thinking. I would have thought that meeting the goal would have marked the end of that journey, and the end of that journey would have been a time to celebrate. Very few times when I met one of my largest goals for myself did I actually want to celebrate. And I quickly found myself setting the next goal. Isn't that messed up? When we meet our goals, we don't oftentimes feel like celebrating. We say, okay, good job. That was the expectation for ourselves. Even with lofty goals, we can convince ourselves, oh, I was going to do that anyways. So now let's set another goal that I'm telling myself, when I meet this goal this time, that's going to be when I celebrate. And then you meet the goal and you don't celebrate, and then you think, oh, I expected that of myself, so that's not really something that I should be celebrating. And the vicious cycle repeats. That does not sound like a recipe for fulfillment and enjoyment to me. That sounds like a recipe for what many of us are stuck in, and that's the achievement of things that we set out to do and the automatic turnover of a creation of a new thing to pursue, to chase, to try to meet. Interesting. So that's why I titled this video, The Journey is All That There Is. And if you find yourself constantly vying for the destination, you're going to be sorely disappointed in life. It's something to take inventory of and take note of now so that we can break that vicious cycle that I just finished talking about. So we're very rarely satisfied with the accomplishments. And when we do end up accomplishing a goal we set for ourselves, the mind is tricky. We think, and we romanticize, right? We romanticize about a lot of things in our lives. It's not just with goal setting for achieving certain things. It's the expectation of how certain things are going to go. And then if they don't meet our expectations, then that leads to disappointment. So the brain's tricky in that way, in that it's hard to really feel, if we go by that way of living, true happiness, fulfillment, content, feeling content, and feeling happy. It's important to take note of and enjoy and realize that the joy comes from the progression and not from the end result. Because the end result is only a moment. The journey leading up to the end result is much more. The end result is fleeting. So why are we only placing importance and value on the end result and not the journey itself? So that brings me to my next point, in that really goal achievement is a short lived experience. And the novelty of achieving goals wears off quickly. I can tell you from my own personal experience, and I'm sure you can tell me from your own personal experiences as well, that is so true. That when we reach what we envision for ourselves to reach, even if we exceed that moment of euphoria that we might feel doesn't last long. It lasts shorter than we expected. It's the high that we chase is oftentimes very short-lived, and that can leave us feeling frustrated and depressed, anxious, and just not good about ourselves. Catch yourself on that and realize, like I said, moving forward along the process is what's important and should be enjoyed. Also, looking back and seeing progress, it brings a lot more fulfillment than only focusing on meeting goals. I can think of where I was with my academic confidence 10 years ago and where I'm at, let's say, 5 years ago. In that 5 year, going from 10 years ago to 5 years ago, I was much more confident with my academic abilities. And so looking back, I realized, okay, there was progress within that 5 year period. And that realization that, okay, those 5 years were spent improving and getting better, well, those were well utilized years because I leveled up, I moved forward, I moved more towards being proficient, I increased my confidence. That is what leads you to feel good. Really though, we've talked about past and future. We haven't talked much about the present. And this is the hardest part and the toughest point in my video to embody. And that's trying to spend the most time that we can living in the present. Can we spend all of our time living in the present? I would argue only very few can. And those people are monk-like. In today's high-speed world, it's tough to spend every waking moment in the present. We have to think of our past so that we don't do some of the things that might have led us to results we weren't looking for. And we have to look to the future to predict and prepare and get ready. But most of us don't have a problem with looking into the past or looking into the future. Most of us, myself included, have an issue with staying grounded in what's going on today. A lot of todays are what form a journey and a lifetime. And so let's spend most of our mental effort and energy focused on today, because that's what we have. We don't have 5 seconds from right now until the 5 seconds from right now happens. I hope this video was helpful and informative. If it got you thinking and you want to share anything in the comments section, please do. It's always open. If you have any video recommendations in the future, please share those as well. Have a wonderful rest of your day and we'll talk soon. Bye.